Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German pastor and thinker about God. He lived during a very bad time in history, World War II. The Nazis, with their hatred and violence, caused terrible suffering around the world. Bonhoeffer, a Christian, was deeply troubled by what the Nazis were doing. He saw the horrors of the Holocaust, the awful, planned murder of Jewish people. These events shocked him deeply. He felt he had to do something, to fight against the evil he saw all around him. Bonhoeffer's belief in God was at the heart of his resistance. He believed in a God of love and fairness. He couldn't understand how this belief fit with the Nazis' hateful ideas. The Nazis said they were Christian, but what they did was the opposite of what Christianity is all about. This contradiction made Bonhoeffer question the usual ways people practiced religion. He started to develop a new understanding of faith, one that went beyond the rules of organized religion. This time of terrible suffering and chaos became the place where Bonhoeffer's most important ideas about God were formed. He saw how the church did nothing while evil was happening, how it stayed silent as innocent people were hurt. This experience made him question what faith really meant in a world that seemed to be abandoned by God. He struggled with what it meant to follow Jesus in a time of crisis, when simply watching things happen was no longer a choice. Bonhoeffer's life and work show us how powerful faith can be when it confronts evil. His story reminds us that we can't stay silent when we see injustice, that we are all called to work for peace and forgiveness. He challenged the church and the world to truly live as Christians, to have a faith that supports those who are suffering and challenges those in power. What Bonhoeffer experienced during the Nazi years led him to develop the idea of religionless Christianity. This idea came from his deep disappointment with Christianity in Germany. He saw how the church, instead of fighting the Nazis, often helped them with their terrible acts. This made him question what religious belief and practice really meant. For Bonhoeffer, religionless Christianity didn't mean giving up on faith. It meant rediscovering what Christianity was really about, taking away the rules and traditions that he thought had hidden its true meaning. He believed that Christianity had become too focused on personal prayer and heaven, forgetting its duty to fight against injustice in the world. He said that true faith should be lived in the world, in everyday life. It should be a force for fairness, kindness, and peace. He believed Christians should be followers of Jesus, who stood up for those who were treated badly and challenged those in power. Religionless Christianity for Bonhoeffer was a call to action, a call to live out one's faith in a big and life-changing way. It was about showing God's love in a world filled with hate and violence. It was a call to be the church, not just go to church, to live the gospel in what we say and do. In 1943, the Gestapo arrested Bonhoeffer for being part of a plan to kill Hitler. He spent the rest of his life in different prisons, where he continued to write and think about his faith. His letters and papers from this time show his strong faith and his fight against evil. In his letters, Bonhoeffer thought hard about the big questions of life and death, belief and doubt, suffering and hope. He wrote about how important it is to do what's right, even when it seems impossible. He thought about God in a world that seemed full of darkness and sadness. His writings from prison are full of hope, even though he was suffering. He held on to his faith for strength and comfort. He found meaning and purpose in being in prison, seeing it as a chance to live out his beliefs in the hardest of times. These letters show how strong the human spirit can be, finding hope and meaning even in the darkest times. They give us a look into the mind and heart of a man who was willing to die for what he believed. They call us all to live with courage, conviction, and compassion. Bonhoeffer's relationship with Jewish people was complicated. He grew up when many people didn't like Jewish people, and his early writings show some of these unfair ideas. However, as he saw the horrors of the Holocaust, his views changed completely. He came to see the persecution of the Jews as an attack on the very heart of Christianity. He realized that being against Jewish people wasn't just a Jewish problem, but a Christian problem, coming from hundreds of years of prejudice and unfair treatment. Bonhoeffer's response to the Holocaust wasn't just feeling sorry for them, but standing with them. He believed that Christians had to stand with their Jewish brothers and sisters, to speak up against injustice and to fight against hatred and oppression. He saw the fate of the Jews as connected to the fate of Christianity. He argued that the church couldn't just watch while God's chosen people were being killed. His strong support for Jewish people during this terrible time is a beacon of hope and a model for how different faiths can talk and work together.